Okay, testing. Okay, we're good. All right, welcome back. Before you get too settled in, I want everybody standing, and we're going to sing a song.
I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic.
Woo! Now, was that a perfect back from lunch song? All right, you may be seated. All right, as we're coming back from lunch, I tell you what, it's for me to speak to such an attentive group is such a blessing. So thank you for your attention. Many of you are nodding heads. Many of you are smiling at the right times. And for a speaker, that is just very, very helpful. So thank you for being an attentive group. In these next few minutes, if you're looking at our schedule, you'll see I am one session behind. And we're going to work to get right back on track. We're going to take a few minutes, pages 8 and 9, to focus on phonics. And as I started our day, you don't know what grade you will be teaching for sure. So some of you may have been in upper elementary and you're going to be pulled into lower and you need this phonics background. Maybe some of you have opportunity to remediate readers. Maybe some of you are the reading specialists. So I'm going to give you a nutshell glimpse of how ABeka teaches the phonics program. So if you are my middle school, high school teachers, I do give you permission to close your eyes just for a few moments. All right, 6 steps of phonics. You do have that brochure in your packet of information. If you'd like to pull that out, you will see that we're going to take each of these pages and we'll walk through the 6 steps of phonics. Those of you that teach lower elementary will recognize right away that ABeka does not use the same terminology that the rest of the world uses in relation to phonics. You are not going to see the word grapheme, phoneme, digraph, schwa. You're not going to see any of that in the ABeka curriculum. You will find that in our detailed scope and sequence. So if you go online to first, second grade, even kindergarten, you will see those terms that you may be familiar with. Here's the reason why. Our goal is simplicity. I said to a teacher earlier, the students don't need to know how the sausage is made, right? They just need to be able to enjoy the fruit of somebody else's labor. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to simplify phonics into easy, attainable, and fast methods. So by the end of the year, our 4-year-olds are reading 1 and 2 vowel words. Our 5-year-olds, let me just not get ahead of myself. Step number 1, we're going to start with short vowels first and then go to the consonants. Short vowels, apple, it's the power of 3s. You're above average if you just say apple. Your above average students will get that, but your below average students will not. So when you are teaching phonics, everything is the power of 3s. Apple, join me. Apple, Your mouth is big, you're exaggerating the sound. You'll notice it is a letter, picture, clue word association. We're going to try to capture them visually to be able to have that confidence in the sound. We're using type style flashcards because the type style is most frequently how they will see the letters written in books. They are exposed to type style, block style, the print, every formation of the letter A you can think of, they will see in their literature in some form. There are digital charts available. So if you're that reading specialist, the reading teacher, just on an iPad, you might want to have the digital phonics charts so that you can quickly swipe through to get to the ones that you need. So letter picture association, apple, elephant, inchworm, ostrich, umbrella. Number 2 are the consonants. The sounds have got to be clear and crisp. I'm not too concerned about the students saying it correctly. You know who I'm concerned about? The parents. No, you're good. You're good. I'm concerned about the parents. I don't want them to say to their child, B says ba, because that's actually a B and a U. B says b, b, b. Say it as fast as you can. B, 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 b. If you're saying B says ba, 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 you can't do that, right? So clear and crisp. Teach them where the sounds come from. So for the sound of H, they're smelling their breath. G, 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 they can feel it. S, they're turning the volume off. Z, they're turning the volume on. Z, z, z. Okay, so these are different things. Your creativity. I wrinkles the nose. The tongue pushes down. The difference between I and E. Now, I just went to a vowel. I recognize that we're at the consonants. Again, letter, picture, association. X, X. Y, 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 Y. Q, Qu, Qu, Qu. Okay, Q and U are best friends. They always walk beside each other. They always stand beside each other. So once you've got the vowel and the consonant, this is the most, if you've got your brochure out, this is the most important step to the ABeka phonics. It's called blending. It's taking a consonant and a vowel, put together, sounded together. This is called a blend. T, t. Now, why is blending so important? You know the answer to this. When we read from what direction? Left to right. So the opposite of blending are word families. Cat, bat, sat, fat, mat, all the AT words. So you see a pattern, there's rhyming there, the students do pick that up. However, they're focusing at the end of the word and then have to go back to the beginning to read the word. We want to skip that step. If you teach students by a sight word, word family program, at this early age, kindergarten, first grade, they will have a vocabulary about 1,500 words that they could read. If you implement blending, you ready for this? 26,000 word vocabulary. Why? Because if you take the blend, ba, now put a consonant, bud, bug, bum, but. My world is expanded. I'm not just stuck to the word families. So I have just increased the confidence. Now, 85% of the English language is phonetically based, right? We cannot attach a rule to it. The other 15%, you just have to learn. Like supercalifragilistic. No, that's, you get the idea there. Now, watch the slide. When you're teaching students how to blend, you're ultimately teaching them that the letters slide together. Yesterday in our kindergarten meeting, I had this slide. Could you do the same thing, draw a wiggly line on the board and have magnets and have the students run the letters together? That's the point. You're running the letters. B-a-ba. Now, can you think of a word that starts with ba? Bug. Use it in a sentence. I hope I don't see a bug. That process is critical thinking. What is known? I know the name of the letter. I know the sound of the letter. I can make application. Phonemic awareness. It's right there. I'm teaching the individual sounds, but I'm putting it together. The faster they read blends, the faster they read words. That's why it's such a big deal. I have some teachers who have their students ta. What does it say? Ta. Say it again. Ta, ta, ta. Yay, you blended. But the students don't know why they're blending. So make the connection that you are going through the process of blending in order to read words better. Again, my junior high school people, you will say, praise God, I don't teach lower elementary. Here is a song for blend ladders.
So can you. I can read blends and so can you.
My upper elementary teachers, how much are you loving on your lower elementary teachers right now? And if you see them crazy in the hallway and they're just doing a thing, you know it's called for in the curriculum. Okay, but students, we always start in order and then we break it up. And the backside is the part that's mixed up. Even before we teach them how to read words, is there a blend in this word? The answer is yes. Where is the blend? At the beginning, middle, or end? At the beginning. What is a blend? A consonant and a vowel put together and sounded together. This is called a blend. We circle it. Now, do you think you can read this word? Bit. And that's the process of teaching a student how to read. If you have the smartboard technology, the digital version of this blend ladder, the letters are called stickers. So you can have students bring over the letter. They love to make words. It is absolutely okay to have nonsense words part of the process. That is fine because you're emphasizing the beginning blend, but they are practicing the process. You may want to take a picture of this if you teach lower elementary. You're going to have some blend cards. I don't have any in my hand, so just use your imagination. Stay tuned if you're happy and you know it. And my preschool kindergarten people, I did not give this to you yesterday. If you can read a blend, read it now. Ga, ga. If you can read a blend, read it now. Red, red. If you can read a blend, then reading will begin. If you can read a blend, read it now. Ga, ga. Okay, so I'm flipping flashcards, and when I'm asking them to read the blend, I'm going to individual students. Please make it a habit. After they've read those blends, choose one card to say, now make a word, use it in a sentence. Get them used to that process. So blending increases our reading speed, it increases our reading accuracy. Even through second grade, they are having to distinguish the blend in a word, and that becomes part of their oral dictation. So in lower elementary, K4 through second grade, ABeka teaches phonics. Second grade is the capstone. I call first grade in the trenches because you are teaching every single bit in its entirety in first grade. By the way, where are my first grade teachers? Mrs. Becca Horton will say that you teach the most important grade of all the grades. Because here in kindergarten, they will learn 49 of the 132 special sounds. In first grade, they learn it all for the first time. And then in second grade, it's the capstone. You're reviewing it. So a student who comes into your school at any point up through second grade will get phonics, will get the process of phonics. You don't have to send a second grader back to kindergarten to get phonics. They will pick it up on their grade level. That's why I said to you earlier, come third through sixth grade, if they haven't had that reading foundation, efforts are going to be a little bit more difficult. I have helps for you in a few minutes on slides to come. Step number 4 is our one vowel word rule. Read it with me. This is a word by word from the curriculum. K4 through second grade teachers, if you've taught this before, you should have this memorized. Ready, begin. When there is one vowel in a word, it usually says it's short sound. We mark it with a smile. Okay, so a student sees this word. They read hat. If they can read a word, do you make them go back and sound it out? Yes or no? Reading is the goal. Phonics is the tool. So if they've already accomplished the goal, don't make them go back and break it up. But if you have a student who is struggling, here's a series of questions. How many vowels in this word? The answer? How do I mark it? With a and sound it out. Hat, hat. I'm going to blow your mind, my upper elementary teachers. A child does not learn how to read by doing this. At. If you hear that from your own children and you're working with them at home, stop. What's the blend? Hat, hat. If you do individual letters, that's where letter reversals happen. They flip the word. They start guessing at the word. The stronger sound is the blend, and then just adding that final consonant. So that is the process. Otherwise, if you let them do individual letter sounds, you've just defeated the whole purpose of step number 3. So you've got to maintain the process. Step number 5, long vowels. Just say their names. What are the names of the vowels? A, E, I, O, U. Every letter has a name. Every letter has a sound. Sometimes other letters change the sound of a letter. For example, the word H-A-M. ham. But is it apple? Apple, but do we say hum? No. So when an A precedes an M or an N, it changes its sound. But do I go into detail with that with the children? Just by ear, they pick that up. 2-vowel word rule, here we go. When there are 2 vowels in a word, the first vowel says it's long sound, the second vowel is silent. Okay, you're reluctant learners, long sound holds 0 meaning. What's another way to call long sound? Name of the letter. What's the name of the letter? A. What's its long sound? A. Okay, so if that's absolutely fine to do. Now look at the word here. Some of your students are going to struggle initially because it is true, we spend a lot more time on short vowels, and they're going to get into the habit of everything saying a short vowel sound, and now I've got to flip the script and go 2 vowels. Now I'm making them think again. So some students may sound this out, ba, at, bat. So what are my questions? How many vowels are in the word? How do I mark it? With a stick and a slash, stick and a slash. Sound it out, boat, boat. Not too bad. We just got to hold ourselves accountable to do that. All right, step number 5 is where our 4-year-old students end. That means coming into some of you that teach kindergarten, they're already reading. But if they have not been in your 4-year-old program, you will still teach them how to read, starting in K5. Okay, step number 6, learn to apply the phonic special sounds. The rest of the world, you will not hear the term special sound. It is an ABeka umbrella word. It is that umbrella that covers the grapheme, the phoneme, everything else there. We have simplified it to 132 sounds. They are simply letter groupings that, when sounded together, will increase the reading speed. So those of you that teach this level, k in duck, C, K, 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 k. E in me, E, 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 E. O and go, O, 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 O. I in fly, Y, I. Why does a fly have such big eyes? I don't know why. I in fly, why? I. By the way, the visual has a big fly with big eyes, so that's where that came from. Okay, so you are going to power of 3s. K in duck, C, K, 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 k. Why? Because when a student is reading a word and you say, what's the special sound? They say k in duck. Usually k in duck, CK. Well, does CK hold meaning to them? No. So if you've trained them, k in duck, CK, k, k, k. What's the special sound? K in duck, CK, k, k, k. Now put it to the word. So that's going to give them better accuracy. So we're going to go through the charts in order, then we'll mix them up, students saying the clue word, the picture word, students saying the sound, some spelling it. What you see in the center, if you teach 1st and 2nd grade, this is not in the curriculum, but it is a secret to your phonics success. 3 phrases: say it, spell it, sentence. Okay, so I'm going to teach to you our special sound. Now, I'm never going to say, our special sound for today is train, TR. No, you better believe I have a train whistle. I have pictures of trains. We're going down by the station early in the morning. We're singing that song. So I'm setting the stage, and then and train, TR, tur. When you see TR together, it says tur. And train, TR, tur. Ready, begin. In train, TR, tur in train, TR, tur. Say it, tur. Spell it, TR. Sentence, in train, TR, tur. Where does in train come in a word? At the beginning. How do I say it? Tur. Now let's take a look at the words on the back. Okay, that process of talking through the sound is in the curriculum. But how I immediately went to my groups is not. If you will embrace this, it will pick up the urgency in your classroom. Why? Because kindergarten teachers, you only teach 1 sound. 1st grade teachers, you teach 2 sounds a day. But 2nd grade, you could teach 4 or 5 in a day. So you have to have a routine to keep it moving. So I will call some students to read words, use them in a sentence, find rhyming words, and then we will go to our, there are two types of cards. This is a clue word card where it just practices the sound tur, tur, tur for tur and train, T-R. That's for quick recognition. And then you have your blend B cards. Blend B have the special sound with the vowel. We'll do it this way. I'll say it, you say it. Tra, tra, tra. Tra, tra, tra. Tre, tre, tre. Tra, tra, tra. Tra, tra, tra. Now say it. Tra, tra, tre, tra, tra. Now for the mix-up. This side of the room. There you go. Can you think of a word that starts with tra? Use it in a sentence. The train will stay on the track. How quick was that? Okay, now we just did short vowels, but at this point they have already learned long vowels. So once I practice the short vowels, now I'll do this. They'll see me flipping the cards, and now you have to watch. If it's a stick, you say its name. If it's a smile, you say its short sound. So let's see if we can stump the upper elementary people. Here we go. Try. Okay, again, upper elementary. How much are you loving on your lower elementary right now? So that's how the sausage is made. The faster they read the blends, the faster they will read words. And then this is your secret to spelling. So if you have to remediate students in reading, at the same time, when you go through the steps I'm going to give you, you will actually be remediating them in spelling as well. I'm not doing a formal spelling presentation today, but in first and second grade, every word is phonetically based. Spelling in first grade doesn't even begin until lesson 19. Why? Because we have to teach them up to the first one vowel word rule, right? So we're doing everything in phonetic order. Second grade starts sooner, but they are learning words based on the phonics special sounds to make application. Okay, now there is something that the Lord just put back into my mind, our conversation here. Every spelling list contains sight words. The sight words are usually colored in green. The problem with sight words is some of our families don't say them correctly. Case in point, the letter A. When A is by itself, it says, When A is a sight word, it says, By the way, that's in the very first spelling list in first grade. A tree, a duck, a person. But what do our sweet parents say? A duck, a tree, a person. T-H-E, sight word, first list of spelling. How do you say T-H-E? Thank you. If you are following your curriculum, when you are introducing those sight words, there is a note in bold that gives you the pronunciation of and the. So say, spell, say, a. Join me, say, spell, say, a, the, T-H-E, the. Got it? And that's kind of the pacing of how I would move through my spelling, even though we're not doing a formal spelling session. English isn't your first language. There is a CD that has all of the sounds. I've been in some schools in our area where the teacher lets the CD do the phonics chart introduction because that teacher is concerned about the pronunciation of the sounds. Again, don't forget the digital teaching aids, especially if you are the teacher that is helping students remediate. Speaking of remediation, every single teacher in elementary should have a copy of the handbook for reading, preferably the teacher edition if you're upper elementary. Why? In first and second grade, the handbook for reading is built into the PM reading time. Do you remember my soapbox from this morning? Do not combine AM and PM. PM usually does the handbook for reading. The handbook for reading is based on Noah Webster's Blueback Speller. It is color-coded, and it goes from short vowels to consonants, to blends, to one vowel words, to all of the 13 phonics special sounds. Same colors of all the charts, everything is color coordinated. So in first grade, in second grade, you're teaching through the phonics. Guess what? When they start reading, now they're applying those phonics skills. Why? Phonics is the tool, reading is the goal, but we got to come at them a couple different ways. Now fast forward to your teacher edition. In the blue margin, it gives you ideas of how to work through the page. Have students choose a color. Have students read one row across, read a row going down. You can even do some reading so they can hear the correct pronunciation. You'll see on the screen, grades 1 and 2, it's built into your reading program. Grades 3 through 6, supplemental phonics instruction. Why is that true? Look at this next page. Do you see the highlighted box? In the little blue letters, it says supplemental phonics. If you are that reading teacher and you've got new students, let's say a third grader coming in brand new and they're really struggling with reading, if you will follow through the plan of the supplemental phonics boxes, you can remediate a student and get them right on track. This is going to fill in the gaps that they didn't get. You don't send a third grader back to the first grade class. Supplemental phonics, this is it. Okay, moving on to the next page in our sample. You see the special sounds at the top. In your phonics class, you're giving memory clues. Memory clues are ways to remember. For example, A and pray, A-Y, always comes at the end of a word. When you see a Y at the end of a short word, it says I. How do I know that? Because there's a teaching tip on the back of the card and also in the curriculum. But what about something like on faucet? Hey, you, turn off the faucet. What's our special sound? On faucet, A-U, ah. A-U, turn off the faucet. So it's a little play on words, but I will tell you they remember it. Look at the W. Looks like saw, doesn't it? In saw, A-W, the letter points, makes it a memory clue. So when you are doing reading remediation, it actually says 1 through 3 on the book cover. Don't let a student worry about that. You explain to them, this is a gift. This is going to be so easy for them at the beginning if you go through the process. But then as the words get a little bit more difficult, you are building their confidence. They now have a rule. And then when they get into their reading class, they will be able to try out some of the phonics. If you have a student who is willing to learn, you could go through this book in a matter of 2 weeks. And they'd have the background phonics filled in. You have somebody who fights you along the way, it's going to take longer. Don't overwhelm them. Don't make them read every single word on the page. A column here, a row there. Read 2, choose your favorite numbers. Tell me what are your 2 favorite numbers. 2 and 7. Read those 2 rows. And that's how you will quickly do it. Get out a scrap piece of paper. Call out a word. Have them try to write it down. Sound it out as they go. The word is gift. 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 What did I just do? I took the blending step and I brought it to the end. Okay, so Handbook for Reading. Very vital, very important book. Everybody should have a set. And that's where we should be for lunch. All right, moving on. Now we're still in the world of phonics. It didn't go to the first page. Hold on. We're going to be able to quickly go through some of this. All right, here we go. So you see phonics class here. Phonics is different than language and arithmetic. And the reason it's different is because it is the class that if you as an administrator, you know that phonics is being taught, you stand outside that classroom door, it is loud. It is practice. It is active. The teacher is not the only one talking. So I was observing at a school, and the classroom doors were wood. So the teacher didn't know that we were standing outside the door. And I went and got the administrator. I said, I want you to come, and I want you to listen. And as we stood outside the door listening, now they had a security system where they didn't have the volume, they just saw. So we saw the teacher was teaching phonics. But to our ear, we heard 0 students participating. I said, your teacher's telling, your teacher's not teaching. And she said, what does my teacher need to do? I said, she needs to have the students repeat the sound. I said, that's it. So we can say turn, train, T-R, tur, but if I didn't have you practice it, it's just in one ear and out the other. That's that 20% of learning. So we've got to make sure that they are doing it as much as possible. So phonics, I want noise. It's an organized chaos. The key to success and to happy students is your preparation. Phonics, remember, is a tool. You've heard me say that. We are decoding, we're sounding out, we are increasing their speed. You know the saying, practice makes perfect. I don't prefer that. I like practice makes permanent. That's why we're doing the blend ladders. That's why we're going through the clue word cards and the blend cards. The goal of phonics is to develop reading fluency. We're getting ready to head into 2 sessions of reading, 2 different types of content that we're going to be absorbing. Without the gift of phonics, fluency is hindered, right? So now students are guessing at words, and if they're guessing at words, what else is hindered? Comprehension. If they are guessing at words and they don't recognize the word that they've read, then how's their vocabulary development? It's not there. So their expression. Students who just sound out words and don't ever reread the words have no expression. A student who reads without expression is lacking in comprehension. Because if you understand what you're reading, then you naturally put in appropriate expression. That's an element of what they're graded on as early as K5. So what we're doing in phonics, yeah, it's a lot of ba, 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 but we are preparing the students to be able to do what they need to do in 3rd through 6th grade. Accurate pronunciation equals understanding. All right, your curriculum for phonics set up as everything else that we've seen. You've got your objectives, your board work, your materials, your visuals, everything that is there. Then your lesson plan, 3 parts: warm-up, instruction, application, everything that we have seen. We just had a comment come into our office a couple weeks ago. An administrator reached out to the ABeka consultants and said she wanted to create a spreadsheet for how frequently her teacher needs to practice the phonics charts. I love your face, because you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. Why does the administrator need to create a spreadsheet? If they're just doing it in the curriculum, it's called for every day, right? So our first question is, does your teacher have the curriculum? Yes, she does. Next question, is your teacher using the curriculum? Okay? So we're not trying to put ourselves above anybody else. It's just, those are realistic questions. If we get a question like that, then you've just given yourself away that you're not using the curriculum. So I commend that administrator. She's like, my students are not practicing their phonics sounds. That was the whole point. She's like, my students are not strong in phonics like they should be. I don't think my teacher is practicing them enough. Can you help me create a spreadsheet for how much they should practice? It's already in the curriculum. Okay, so administrators, as you're walking through, go enjoy phonics time. It is active, it is engaging, it is noisy, but it's good learning going on. So just as with everything we've done, be a show, tell, and do teacher. Capture their attention. Do you know, when you're teaching eye and fly, you better have a fly swatter in your room. Now maybe it's a fly swatter that has the center cut out, like this, and you have words with a special sound, and the students have to come and circle the special sound with the fly swatter. Dollar Store has the plastic ones. Love my Dollar Store. It's phenomenal. Ever since COVID, they've really beefed it up. Yeah, have you noticed that? Their education ever since COVID. Kitten duck. What could you bring in? A duck, or have a picture of a duck, or have the students quack, quack, quack like a duck. How about, well, we already did tur and train. What's another one I have up here? Oh, and go. I just happen to have a stop sign. So they love to play the game, red light, green light, right? So when I have a student point to the green light, they're saying the special sound. Oh, 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 oh. Student moves the pointer to the red light, they stop. Yellow light, they go slow. Oh, 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 oh. Stop. What's the special sound? Oh and go. Oh, 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 oh. So you don't have to have something for every lesson, like a picture or an illustration. You could tell a story. What do you notice about all of these words? So, go, no, yo-yo. They are all rhyming words. Why? Because rhyming words are words whose endings sound the same. But what, and you've already answered it, what sound do you hear at the end of so, go, no, yo-yo? Oh, guess what? Oh, and go, oh, 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 oh. So I just had them put themselves into the learning process. I had a little bit of a mystery, had a little bit of a clue. Another way that you could do, even without a visual, you see that loaded sentence? The back of my neck, let's see, when I will pack, the back of my neck will hurt. I hope I pack a sock, and don't forget to lock. I better do it quick. I just took all the words on the back of the card. And some of your students will pick up really quickly what special sound you said in all of those words. That's a loaded sentence. So a board brightener, a picture. Now this, every teacher in this classroom, every teacher here teaches either and bigger, and biggest, or you teach comparisons. So if there's 3 items, EST. If there's 2 items to compare, ER, etc. So everybody in this room could use this illustration. So this one, I took 2 cardboard boxes, decorated them with glitter. Again, you hear glitter. I love my glitter. Glitter wrapping paper, cut a hole in the front, or on the top rather, and then I had an opening in the back. All of these pictures you see on the side, the student, I had them on the credenza. So what a student would do is come and pick a pencil off. He'd put it in the box labeled big. I had already taught the sound and bigger, EST, and I'd say, I don't want a little pencil, I need it bigger. Know where I'm going. So I would take the box and I'd shake it. And bigger, ER, and bigger, ER, say it, spell it, ER, sentence, and bigger, ER. And then, sneaky teacher that I am, he would come put his hand in the bigger box, and I had every visual that you've seen, I had a larger version. And he would put his hand in and he'd get out the big pencil. Little Oreo, I had a giant Oreo. Little American flag, I had a giant flag. Little inchworm, I had a big inchworm. So everything became bigger. And it was that element of surprise, and they loved it. It doesn't take much time to do these things, but you capture their attention while they're practicing, and then they remember it even better. Here we go. All right, on your daily breakdown, we're on page 9, daily breakdown, 3 parts. You've already know this. Review, it maintains skill, it builds confidence. You've heard me say that like a broken record today. How am I going to involve the majority of my students? How will I transition from flashcards to oral practice? It's pretty seamless. I'm not really a pacer, though you've seen me in movement right here all day, right? I stay in my little box. And your students are going to follow you wherever you go. They're going to follow your voice. So do have freedom of movement in your classroom. And then, of course, variety. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this because your curriculum will tell you what chart to practice. In fact, if you are 2nd grade, I pulled out lesson 15, so 3 weeks into school. Here for your warm-up, chart 6, chart 7, blend cards B, circling special sounds, practicing rhyming words, counting out syllables. That's all of your review. You go from one to the other. If you will pull your charts, we always did our charts first, and then we got to the other words. So it says, say following words, calling on students to give rhyming words. Glow, loop, stoop, I'm thinking of stoop, tank, dirt, hurt, there you go. Syllables, gigantic. Now some of you, syllables, gigantic. Some of you, gigantic. However you do it, gigantic. You're doing some kind of fingering for that. So that's going to be as an enrichment idea of how to practice syllables. So right there, the ideas are given, you just have to do it. There's my fly swatters with the hole in them. So I call 2 students up, they each have a fly swatter. I say, cool and clock. and they have to put it on the CL. And because those fly swatters are soft, it's easy to see who was first because they're on the one on the bottom of the chart, and it reduces yelling and arguing. Number 2, teach a new sound. How did I know how to teach a new sound? Do you see the bold print? It's there in the curriculum. You can be as confident a phonics teacher as I am, who's been doing it for more than 20 years, because of the verbiage in the curriculum. Brings us to number 3, your application. Now, it can be an oral or written. Are we still doing the I do, we do, you do strategy? Absolutely. So oral, I might use my review charts. Oral will just be calling things out orally, whatever it says on the curriculum. Here on the back for application on this 2nd grade lesson, it's actually the front side of the phonics paper, and then the back side will be independent work. So here it goes right to the paper. So some days it may be flashcards, oral questions, the phonics games. You saw that king and queen game in the arithmetic class. That's easy. They love it. It's a curriculum idea. And of course, scrap paper. They are tested over dictation. So if you have not practiced it on scrap paper and walked around and checked, then don't be surprised when they do poorly on the test. We don't teach a test, we prepare them for a test. So if you've never taught the ABeka curriculum before, you're going to take the test book, you're going to see the directions. It says, write the blend the teacher says. Write the special sound you hear in the word your teacher says. It'll say, circle the special sounds, mark the vowels. Those directions are repeated week to week. So if you can embrace the directions the way that it is said in the curriculum, then you will match the test and the students will know what you are doing. 1st grade teachers, you are not doing this as a class. Some of you were here yesterday for K5. K5 and K4, we do it together, but not 1st grade. 1st grade, everything on this front side of the page has already been taught. It is previously taught content that they should already be able to do. That's why you can be doing reading circles while they're working on this. You don't check this page corporately. During your seat work check, that's 3 times in the day, built into your day, you're going student by student checking. You don't grade it. I've had some administrators, the teacher comes to me and says, my administrator is making me grade the phonics worksheet. I'm like, no. He says we need more grades. I said, he doesn't understand lower elementary. And I said, you can tell him. I said, seat work is for practice. It does not affect the grade. You are only giving a grade on the test. It is checked. By the way, do not take these at home at night and check them. If you find yourself taking them home at night, then you are not using the built-in 20 minutes throughout your day to check it while the student is there. If you take it home, you're doing all the work, but what do? Do we ever meet with the student again and have them fix it? Rarely. So we just spent all that time. Is the parent going to care what marks we put on the paper? No, you just wasted your time. So it's better if you can check it with the student right there and say, oh, see, you circled this extra letter. What is our special sound? And you make the correction right there. Make the time. Those built-in seat work checks are to help you to reduce your workload as well. Now, 2nd grade, I've already talked to you. That front side is part of the phonics class. That is work together corporately. The bottom is dictation. In the same way that you dictate on a test, this is your practice. Some teachers do the dictation first, and then they go back to the top of the page and finish the page. First we work and then we play, so sometimes they set it up that, okay, let's get our hard work done, the dictation, and then let's enjoy the rest of the page. Not that a dictation, that didn't come out right. We enjoy everything that we do. Phonics, 1st and 2nd grade, is also phonics and language. You don't have 2 separate grades for phonics and language. 1st grade teachers, and in fact, let me get to our, here's the independent side of the page there. I'm seeing my note that teacher edition is essential. You have to have the teacher edition because that's where the dictation is. The dictation is not in the curriculum. The dictation is in your teacher edition for the page. Okay, now let's talk testing. First grade, there is not a language grade given on the report card. If you have a standard report card, you leave language blank. Guess what else you leave blank first grade? Spelling. You do not have a separate spelling grade. Spelling is built into the phonics on first grade only. You do not have a separate spelling test in first grade. Like a Friday test, a lot of times we think Friday is the spelling test. Not in first grade. It is the only grade that no spelling grade is given. That is purposeful. It is because phonics is integral to the spelling, and they are tied absolutely together. Now, in second grade, phonics and language both will be tested. First semester, second grade, phonics emphasis with a little bit of language instruction. Second semester, phonics maintenance with heavy emphasis on language and creative writing instruction. Your tests are going to reflect that change, okay? You do have a separate spelling test on Friday. Both tests include oral reading. Why is this vital? Phonics is the tool, reading is the goal. This is a phonics test. How quickly are they applying the rules? Do you mark it for them if they struggle? No, you cannot give any helps. Cannot give any helps. This is timed. So if you're looking at that first word in my brain, I have 6 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,005, 1,006, 1,000. If they don't read it correctly in those 6 seconds, you just move your pen to the next word. You do not tell them what the word is. You just keep moving your pen across. Say, that's really tough. It's application. We got to see where they are. It's a true reflection. Okay. Thoughtfully prepare, have your consistent procedure, follow the lesson plan in order. Do you see how the curriculum will really help you? Right? It's your best friend. All right, we're going to move around a little bit. Stand up. We've got a fun phonics song that will give us a mental break before we hit reading. Now, your next break time is at 2:15. We'll see if I get it to you at 2:15. That's the goal. All right, here we go. If all the raindrops.
If all the raindrops were lemon drops and gumdrops, oh, what a rain that would be. I wouldn't mind if the sun never shined, 'cause I'd stand outside with my mouth open wide, going all the time.
Florida snow, here we go.
If all the snowflakes were candy bars and milkshakes, oh, what a snow that would be. I wouldn't mind if the sun never shined, 'cause I'd stand outside with my mouth open wide, going all the time.
All right, now before you sit down, we're going to play a quick game of do this, do that. If I say do this, you do it. If I say do that, you don't do it. Do this, do this, do this, do that. You should not be doing that. So let's freeze. So if you were still crisscross, crisscross, you did it right. Pat yourself on the back. All right, so do this, you do it. Do that, you don't do it. Okay? Do this, we're marching. Do this, do this, do this, do that. Ooh! Do this, do this, do this, do this, do that. Oh, freeze. Hey, you are quick learners. All right, you may be seated. Okay. Let's see how much you remember from this morning. What should you teach in the AM? Core subjects. What do you see on the screen as our subject? Core subject, yes or no? Show me sign language. Yes? No? It is. Now, if you're doing sign language, you're not using your words, right? Okay, so that's a good way to do your students. You can just say, show me the sign language. However, I get to break the rules. We're doing this core subject at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the reason it is here at this time of day is because I had to have something that would capture your attention to keep you awake. And I'm guessing that there's very few people in here who are not interested in how we grade reading, how we build comprehension, how we do our skills comprehension sheets, how do we communicate to parents, right? So this is just a good fit for this time of day. This reading is going to be in 2 parts. We're going to talk about process, and then we're going to talk about procedure. You're going to see me get pretty excited. I have a meeting in Tampa on Thursday. I'm driving tomorrow. I get to go to bed after this. 2 days of this, and I'm going to bed tonight. But anyways, the point, you're going to see whatever energy I have left, I'm going to give to these 2 sessions. It is just that important. Why do we want the students to learn how to read themselves, right? Remember our mission statement as far as leading students to Christ. I want to equip you so you can shape students. Biblical worldview opportunities all throughout our materials. And if you have taught ABeka reading for any amount of time, the quality and caliber of content in these readers blows your mind. There is variety. There is history, there's humor, there's informational. Such a well-rounded reading curriculum. We're going to start with reading circles. We'll go to reading class. Why 2 separate areas of reading? Because in lower elementary, we have to ability group. This is our one shot to get that phonics application in a small group setting. I don't have time in my day to have small groups in upper elementary for reading. Class reading. We do have opportunities to help. I will bring those out. Okay, notice the picture. Upper left. This is our Miss Howe, Miss Howe. This is our 1st grade video teacher named Miss Howe at Pensacola. You see that she's got reading circle chairs. If you have enough room in your classroom, I would really prefer the students to read in their chairs, not on the floor. You may have a reading table. I'm not a huge fan of reading tables. Students tend to get awfully comfortable in the reading table. So my preference is a reading chair. You will make your own decision with that. Notice that the students are in front of her. The rest of the students are doing independent seat work. Her eyes are able to watch the rest of the class while they are working. Okay, she's got a big smile on her face. You see the 3 animals up on the board? Those are the names of her 3 reading groups. In your reading curriculum, it refers to group 1, group 2, group 3. But you don't call the students 1s, 2s, and 3s. You call them elephants and tigers and bears. Group 3, your reluctant learners, don't call turtles. Come up with a more clever name. I had, oh my goodness, what did I have? Lions, tigers, and bears. I had cows, ducks, and I think it was pigs. I had starfish, jellyfish, and sea anemone. That was my group 3. They thought they were so cool with sea anemone. I went with the themes of the 1st grade book as we go through the zoo, the farm, the ocean, and then springtime. So let's talk real quick about ability grouping students. Above average students. Okay, this is, and somebody asked me about this, and I told you I was going to be covering it. You do not want more than 3 reading circles. Every student in your class is going to fit into one of these 3 groups. Group 1 are the students that can read words mostly without sounding out. That's your group 1. Group 2, they have to sound out, but they are sounding out correctly and can read the word. They just need their phonics tool to get them there. Group 2 is considered your average reader. They have the ability to read, but without the bells and whistles. What are the bells and whistles? Smoothness, expression, sometimes accuracy, but they have the ability to read. Group 3, your reluctant learners. They're the ones that still rely on you to help them get through a word. What does this letter say? T. What does the vowel say? Ah. Let's put it together. T, ah, ta. Now read the word. Tap, tap. I have had students in my classroom come from Pensacola's K4, K5 into my first grade room, and they still couldn't tell me the names of consonants and vowels and sounds. Just because they've come from within your school doesn't mean that they have mastered it. With ABeka, because of our spiral approach, even if they haven't mastered it in kindergarten, I'm not holding them back. They still move on because they've got 2 more years of phonics practice, and for some, the light bulb moment happens just a little bit later on. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So group 1, group 2, group 3. The groups are not set in stone. So if you have a student who is progressing, they're at group 2, and they're just, whoa, they have taken off, move them up to group 1. If you have a student in group 2 and they're getting a little bit more sluggish, put them in group 3. I don't want a student to struggle in their reading group. So you find the spot where they fit, where they don't have that struggle. You're going to teach reading circle manners. How do you get into the reading circle? How do you leave? All of these are suggested for you in the front matter of your curriculum, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Do teach students to follow along as others read. That's why for every grade in here, we are never going to read down a row or in a certain pattern. It's called round robin. So I get you, I go back to you, I get you, I go here, I go there, and I'm popcorn reading. Key for reading is the element of surprise. I want to catch them in the middle of a sentence. Not always at the end of a paragraph or at the end of the page. That's predictable. So I want the element of surprise. Are they really following along as somebody else reads? When they read, they stand to read. If they don't know where we are, they stay standing. And then I will go back to them when they have found their spot, and they will continue to read. You say, you're very mean. No. I've got an expectation. By the way, as a first grade teacher, if I don't expect that, what's going to happen in 5th grade history? Somebody has to be the bold one to stop it. Thank you, lower elementary teachers. You always have my heart. All right, our lesson plan sample. AM, PM reading. 2 things. Nobody in here is going to forget to have it separate. Reading atmosphere. You're excited about reading. You're positive. You're motivating. And then you see, focus on 1 to 2 reading qualities. I know you can't see it where that purple arrow is, but this curriculum in the weekly overview highlights what qualities to focus on. What are the reading qualities? They're listed on page 10. There are 11 reading qualities. This is your grading rubric for reading right here. This is the ABeka grading program. These reading qualities for skill building. My goal is quality over quantity. I don't care, and I say that loosely, if a student just reads 1 or 2 sentences instead of a whole page. I would rather read 1 or 2 sentences with speed, expression, accuracy, instead of a whole page, chop, 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 chop. Okay, it's quality over quantity. When you take a look at these qualities, first 4, if I have kindergarten teachers in here, the 4 in bold are the only ones that you grade on. The ones in bold are K5 only. From 1st through 6th grade, 1st through 6th, you have the same skills. When I visit a school and I go into a 1st grade classroom and the teacher's having the students reread for speed or smoothness or punctuation, I go into the 6th grade class, I should hear the exact same thing. Reread for speed, expression, punctuation, etc. On this next page, you see again quality over quantity. Fluency is our goal. So let's talk through what the reading process looks like. Let me just grab this. Let me get a 2nd grade book. Growing up around the world. Okay, so a student begins to read. The children giggled to themselves and ran out the door to carry milk to the kitchen and to the table. Every word was right. Are you happy with that? Okay, I'm going to get preachy right here. Every single one of you in this room is a coach. We've got the Olympics going on right now. Think of soccer team, think of basketball team, whatever, swim or whatever. If you are the coach, are you satisfied with that for your player? No. So what do? You say reread. See the word in purple, reread. If you're taking notes, write it in giant letters, reread. I was accurate, but I was slow. So as a teacher, you would say reread for speed. I read the same sentence. The children giggled to themselves and ran out the door to carry milk to the kitchen and to the table. Better? Coach, are you still happy with that? I want you to do it one more time. This time, work on your expression. Okay? The children giggled to themselves and ran out the door to carry milk to the kitchen and to the table. Now, normally their voice starts going high when you ask for expression like that. Was it better? Practice makes permanent. That was one sentence. Am I okay with that? Absolutely. Now, when I grade, do I grade on how I read the first time or how I read the third time? No, ma'am. Not the third time. It's the first time. Because that first time, that's what you have to help parents understand. I'm grading on the way that they read. They apply their phonics the first time. Now, I'm skill building. I'm working on getting them to improve that skill, but they've got to know what to improve. I get so tired of, please understand, I love our teachers, but good job, good job, good job, good job, good job means nothing. Good job on what? Good job reading with speed. Good job watching your punctuation. Good job on your expression. Good job applying your phonics. Be specific, because then I get a domino effect. So you heard me say, good job on your speed. What are you encouraged to do? I want to read with speed. I want to read with expression. So say what you mean, what you're hearing. If you're just sitting back at your desk and saying, good, 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 is any skill going to get better? If that parent is not satisfied with their child at a C, teacher, what are you doing to get them out of the C range? You got to push them. You got to motivate them. You got to be specific in how to improve. I get so passionate about this. This is sincere passion, because I want my students to read like they talk. I don't want them to be embarrassed come 5th grade reading in their history book. I don't want them, and this has happened, where a parent goes to the teacher and says, my child is crying at night because he doesn't want to read in front of his peers. I don't want that for any student. So I have 180 days to, I want to say, whip them into shape, to do what I can with the time and the abilities and the wisdom that God has given to me to help them. And I'm putting pressure on you 1st and 2nd grade teachers. There is a quote, I'm not going to do justice to it, but it's from The Art of Teaching. Hyatt is his name, and he says, it's much easier to shape it's much easier to shape wax than marble. They are wax in lower elementary. They become marble in upper elementary. So I'm pointing my fingers. There's a big group of you lower elementary teachers in here. You've got to embrace that coach mentality. Okay, so you saw he reread that sentence by phrases. Modeling is absolutely appropriate. You could say, read it like this. The children giggled to themselves and ran out the door. Now you read it. The children giggled to themselves and ran out the door. What am I doing? I'm going by phrases. The faster they put phrases together, better. So absolutely fine with modeling. Pray specifically. Okay, let me help you, every teacher in this room, of reading. I created a spreadsheet. It's not very fancy. In this spreadsheet, you see across the top, I will list the student's name, grade column, and then I have abbreviations for accuracy, expression, comprehension, smoothness, attention, pace, other. So as a student never knows what day I'm grading reading. They never know that. You don't want to put that pressure on them. But throughout the week, there's a lot of consistency. Reading grades rarely change huge chunks. Okay, so if I have a student who is really struggling on expression, I'm going to put a little check mark in the expression box, or I can do an X. So whatever, if they're struggling, you can do an X. If they're doing well, you can put a check mark. Why do I do this? I had 30 students in my first grade class. When I fill out their reading evaluations, do you think I'm going to remember every single thing? I go to my spreadsheet. Parent says, why is my child getting a C minus? I can go to my spreadsheet, and I have a track of it for the week. I use this for the week, and it was just my record that I have. The listing across the top are the reading qualities that are listed in your handout. Where did those qualities come from? In the front matter of your reading curriculum. Every single 1st through 6th grade teacher has this list. On the left side, the qualities of reading defined, so you know exactly, I'm not going to take time to define them, but you know exactly what we're reading for, and then the grading scale. Okay, before I get to class reading, 1st and 2nd grade teachers, you have it the easiest to grade reading. What do I mean by that? You've got 3 groups, group 1, group 2, group 3. Group 1 will finish every single one of the books. Group 2 may get all but 2 of the books done, I think is what the curriculum calls. Group 3 in 1st grade only gets 5 of the 12 books. How can that be? Because I'm teaching to their ability, and you have selected a curriculum that meets students where they are. Is it true your students test about a year ahead of their counterparts? Yes. Why? Because of the solid foundation that we are building. So you have a 1st grader who's group 3, only went through 5 of the readers. Ready for 2nd grade, yes or no? Yes. Yes. They are still on grade level. Okay, so if they're group 1, how did I describe them? Do they sound out words, yes or no? No. Very rarely. So in my mind, I like to think of restaurants. You ever been to Ruth Chris? Yes. All right, you get dressed up. It is fancy. I've only been twice in my life, and it is, you go with expectancy. It is a memorable meal, right? You know who you were with, you know what you ate. It is the best. That, and this is not scientific, but that is what I think of for group 1. This is a student who reads like they talk. They read with expression. They read with comprehension. You really could just say good job. But good job on what? Good job on your smoothness, etc. So that's your A. Usually students in group 1 are your A minus, B plus. I never give an A plus for reading. There's always room for improvement. Better to start lower on the grade scale and give time over the year to improve than to start at an A and have to drop them down to a B minus middle of the year. Parents won't go for that. Group 2, you know the restaurant O'Charlie's, Logan's, Olive Garden, I'll lump it there. You enjoy the meal. It's good every time you go, but it is not Ruth Chris. But it's good. That's your group 2. They are reading, they have the ability to read, but they're working at it. So your group 2 are your B minus, C plus readers. That may shock you. The majority of students in your class are going to be in your group 2. That's going to be your largest group. Let's say you have 12 students in the class. You might have 3 or 4 in group 1. You might have 5, 6 in group 2, and that leaves me with 2 or 3 in group 3. Group 2 is going to be your majority. C means average. They have the ability to read. But if I take this group 2 student at his pacing and I put him into group 1, is he going to be able to keep up? So he's not an A. It is not grade group 1, this is your ABC. It's not group 2, this is your ABC. Does that make sense? Okay, group 3, how did I describe them? They're struggling, they need your help. Group 3, the highest grade a group 3 student can get is a C minus. If you give a group 3 student a B, then they should be able to read group 2, pacing. and they're not there. So if you give them a B, they go into second grade, the teacher in second grade sees they were a B reader, what group is she going to start them off in? Top group, and they're going to sink. So your grades have to mean something. By the way, parent who sees a C on a report card is going to do something about reading. They're going to question you. They're going to expect you to comment to them about what they can do to help their child improve, right? But if you get an A, oh, it's all good. So be true to the grade. Let the grades mean something. So if you have divided your students into the reading circles appropriately, you already have a built-in grading plan. Does that make sense? Okay, now let's transition to class reading. Class reading actually begins in the second semester of second grade and goes through sixth grade. You're going to determine a system. Oh, by the way, let me stop right there. On your handout, this whole suggested grading scale, you'll see I put in parentheses the group 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be a good reference for you. This oral reading evaluation is in your front matter. What a lot of schools do is secretary will create it, put 4 on a sheet of paper, and then these go home bi-weekly. Those students are graded every week. First 6 weeks of first grade, no reading grade, because they're just reading in the handbook for reading. Reading grades start the second 6 weeks. Reading doesn't begin day 1. It begins day 3 in first grade, day 2 or day 4 in second grade, I believe. I may have mixed that up. But this is your grading record that you are passing on to the parents. It just gets stapled on with test papers as they are sent home, if that is your school's, what word am I looking for? Oh, wait, that you operate. All right, I can tell I'm getting tired. Hang on. Okay, class reading. Determine a system. Remember, we're not going to go in order. We're going to popcorn the students. A lot of teachers like to have popsicle sticks with the student's name and they pull out a popsicle stick. That's fine, but I need to know that even if I've pulled your popsicle stick, I'm calling on you again. You just won't see your stick be pulled, but I'm going to glance and call you again. That's why I don't prefer the popsicle sticks, because then it just limits to the one time of reading. Do walk around the room. Don't just sit at your desk. Stand beside them. Make sure that they're following along on the right page. Make thoughtful comments. What are your comments? Reread for any one of those 11 qualities. Be prepared with your thinking questions. The teacher editions have lots of questions built in within the reading and then also at the end of the reading. Never, and I've seen this done at schools, never in the ABeka curriculum in grades 1 through 6 do students ever take a piece of paper and answer the comprehension questions from the reading books. Never. If you have them answer these comprehension questions on written paper, you are wasting their time. Why? What is this session called? Class reading, reading circle, oral reading. There will be opportunity for written comprehension. Where is it in first grade? It's in the language book. They have short little reading sections that are in a box and they have to fill in the bubble for answering the questions. Where is it in second grade? They have a book called Reading Comprehension 2 in second grade. This is where we start the process from second to sixth grade, where they have reading opportunities and then they answer a variety of questions on the written. So please do not take what is designed for oral reading and turn it into written. Two separate things, two separate parts of the curriculum. You'll have extra work. They'll lose the enjoyment of just reading. We want them to enjoy what they are reading. Okay, now I'm going to put you to work. Somewhere on your paper, you are going to listen to 4 readers. You're going to see their names on the screen. You can jot them down. They are upper elementary. I want you to listen, and I want you to assign a grade. You know how I described what the grades meant? A was Ruth Chris, B was Olive Garden, C is my cooking. I can sustain life, but none of you would come to my house a second time and eat a meal. But I sustain life. D is it's burned to a crisp, there's hair in it, oh, you never want to eat it again. That's kind of what I think about when I do reading grading. Again, I told you, not scientific. All right, so we've got Ryan,
if you'll come to begin
Tavian,
reading for us
Randy,
today.
and Brianna.
Who Patriots are
The course of history shows that many a time a strong, earnest soul has swayed a destiny of nations. Who are the patriots in America? No doubt many would answer at once, the patriots are the men who fought for their country in times of war. But there is something wrong in thinking that patriots must be soldiers or sailors. What shall we call the thousands of women who sent their brothers and sons to help the cause of liberty? Were not these women as good as patriots?
Let's not add words. Be very
Were
careful there.
not these women as good patriots as their husbands and brothers? Indeed, the women often had the hardest time. They had to carry on the farms while the men were away. They suffered from anxiety and loneliness. We must surely call all brave women patriots who loved the country well enough to let their husbands and sons go to war for the sake of the flag.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay,
Are
you're going to write
soldiers-
down
oh,
a grade
here, I have a question
and
for you.
maybe a
Are
quality
soldiers
that
the
he did
only
well
patriots?
or needs to improve
What was another
on.
example that you read about?
After this, we'll go on a break.
Women whose husbands went to war, right? Okay, thank you, Ryan. Continue for us.
We must not forget a multitude of men who, even in the war for independence and in the Great Civil War, were never soldiers or sailors, and yet were patriots. There was Benjamin Franklin, for instance. He did not fight, but who loved America better than he? There was Washington's friend Robert Morris of Philadelphia, who helped get money to pay the soldiers.
Okay, let's start right there. Why don't you turn a little bit more to face the front? There you go. And let's start right there and try to read that sentence a little more smoothly this time, Tavian.
There was Washington's friend Robert Morris of Philadelphia, who helped get money to pay the soldiers. Where in the time of
Okay, that was the end of a thought. The soldiers. Where in time of war? Start there.
where in time of war will all the wheat and beef come from to feed the army, and the clothing to keep the men warm. If they were no patriots, hard at work on their farms and in their shops.
Thank you, Tavian. Randy, if you'll come and continue reading for us.
Okay, are you writing something down?
We must not forget another set of good patriots in the times of Bunker Hill and Valley Forge. They were the patriot children who were not yet old enough to fight for their country, but who were perfectly willing to do so.
Okay, why don't we see if we can read that again a little smoother. Start with, they were the patriot children, and read that smoothly, please.
They were the patriot children who were not yet old enough to fight for their country, but who were perfectly willing to do so if they had been wanted. They
Some of
helped
you
their
say,
mothers and
"Not
sisters
yet, Kim.
while
Not yet."
their fathers were away.
Still on vacation.
They were full of gladness to when at last the long war was over, and later they passed on to their children the dough rises.
Okay, now just think about if that word were all together, what would it say? If we had an R-I-E-S right there.
Star rise.
No, this would say an E sound.
Stories.
Start right here, and later?
And later they passed on to their children the stories that their fathers had told to them about the heavy cost that had purchased our liberty.
How were the children patriots during the War for Independence?
They couldn't go to war because they were too young, but they helped their mothers and sisters.
Excellent job, Randy. You were thinking as you read. Brianna, come on up.
Okay, last one.
To be a patriot is to love one's country. It is to be ready and willing, if need comes, to die for the country as a good seaman would die to save his ship and his crew. It is to be just and fair and wise, and so to live nobly for our country, to love our country, to work to make it strong and rich, to support its government, to obey its laws, to pay fair taxes into its treasury, to treat our fellow citizens as we like to be treated ourselves. This is to be good American patriots.
Thank you, Brianna. I like how you were catching your own mistakes as you read. Good job.
Okay, so now it's time to see what kind of grading you did. You can see how the reading circles makes it a little bit easier because you know which grade range you are in. So for readers, who would you say was, I hope you wrote their names down, who would you say was the best reader? Oh, Brianna? Interesting. So Ryan, yeah, the first reader, Ryan, was the best. However, is he A+? No. Is he an A? No. Is he an A-? Yes. Yeah, he's an A-. And the reason he's an A- is, could he read? Yeah, for sure. But he was reading too fast, which affected his smoothness. So if I just communicated that to him, could he fix it in a heartbeat? Absolutely. So he is your above average student. He is that Ruth Chris reading. He's just that server that spilled on his uniform. So he's the A-. Okay, what about Tavian, the second student? Ooh, you're tough. He does have the ability to read, but didn't he do better than that? Yeah, he was hesitant at times, but what did he do well? Thank you. He had expression. Even though he was a little hesitant, he still was communicating that he understood what he was reading because of appropriate expression. He officially got a B-. Now let me say this, if you gave him a C+, if you're within half a step, that's good. If you gave him a C, you're a little tough right now. And the reason you feel like you can be tough is because you don't know if this is the preacher's kid, the deacon's kid, the administrator's son, right? You have no emotion tied to this student. When I come into your classrooms and I grade reading, I don't know who they are. I don't know their story. I don't know their journey. All I'm doing is I'm listening to their ability to read. One time my principal, I gave a student a grade. She's like, Miss Wheeler, why did you give him this grade? And I said, but he's trying so hard. She's like, why'd you give him this grade? Every time I was trying, she stopped me. Yes, he's trying, but do you grade on effort? Our heart wants to, but we cannot. So we have to detach the emotion and grade on what we hear, and without fear of that parent coming to question. Because you've got your spreadsheet. You know what qualities are grading. You've got this record now to support your grades. Okay, what about Randy? She's the one that went a little bit long. Yeah, she officially got a C-. If you gave her a C, does that young lady have the ability to read? She can read. She's just missing the bells and whistles. Okay, so she's like my cooking. She can sustain life with her reading. But what did the teacher do? The teacher kept helping her reread for smoothness. You heard those specific words. The last student, Brianna, she actually got a B-. Yep, she got a B- because her words were a little bit choppy. She didn't completely read like you talk, right? Yes, after listening to Randy, she sounded like gold, didn't she? But she wasn't there. If you had listened to her after Ryan, you'd be having a different grade. Okay, so that's where, if you can think of restaurants with regard to reading, it will really help you. And then, but reading grades rarely will fluctuate, maybe a half step here or there. If you are not sure, especially new teachers, about your reading grade, ask if a veteran teacher can come and listen to your readers. If you want your administrator to come in and just listen to your readers, that will give you confidence that you're on the right track. By the way, grades 1 through 3, the only reading grade is oral reading. Nothing else get averaged in 1st through 3rd grade. 4th through 6th grade, 2/3 of the grade is oral, but then it's averaged in with the, oh my goodness, adventures in nature in other lands and all. However, you can think about this as you go on your break. There's a parenthetical note in the reading section of your front matter that makes these items optional to grade. It is your school's choice. So if you find that the students are not doing as well as you want, and your administrator says, you know what, this is good practice, we're implementing this, yes, but I don't want it to affect their reading grade, that's your call. You have that little word optional, but it's got to be a school decision. If you fourth grade teachers say I'm not grading it, but the fifth grade teacher does, and the grade's lower, we have a problem. So it's all or nothing. Yes? Okay, it is 2:28. Can we do a 10-minute break? Because I still got 3 sessions to go, and we're not going to make it. Can you, 10 minutes, can you be back here at 2:40? Okay. All right, thank you. If nobody's leaving, I'll just keep going. All right, see, right there in the middle. Thank you. All right, I'm looking at the clock. It is my number one enemy right now. Really good questions during our break. Here is one that you might be interested in. Reading is a subjective grade. It's truly my opinion versus yours. It's my experience versus yours. It's my ear versus yours. We used to have a training video on ABeka.com where you would hear readers and then you would see the grade at the bottom, and that would help you learn to develop an ear for the reading. Since our revisions have taken place, we have not replaced that video. So I don't have a resource to send you to anymore. But one of our teachers just asked about penmanship. So let me say this to you. The subjective reading grade, ABCD, Ruth, Chris, Olive Garden, etc., is the same mindset you carry over to handwriting. Okay? C is average. I can read their cursive writing. It's legible. In lower elementary, I am all about formation. I'm teaching just like there are 11 qualities in reading. If you go to your handwriting section in your binder, there are 7 qualities of handwriting. That becomes your rubric for penmanship. Okay, so make a note. This is my grading reading, my grading writing, same ABCD mindset. A is they write like a teacher, they write like the sample. It's got consistent slant, space, size, formation, neatness, form, touching the lines. I just gave you the 7. Proportion. Think of a car with its tires, you know, when you have to use the donut tire. And so the balance is a little off, the proportion is off. That means 3 of my letters are the same size and then 1 went smaller. That's inconsistent proportion. So those are things that when you're teaching reading and you're the coach of these skills, when you're doing writing, you're the coach of those 7 skills. Okay, so when you go to write, does it look like the sample on the paper? B is, hey, it's really good, but maybe they dipped below the line. Maybe they were inconsistent in their slant, but the formation is really good. C, it's average. I can read it, but we got to work on spacing. We need consistency with size. Usually your comments with handwriting is the word consistent. Inconsistent size, inconsistent spacing, inconsistent, and I'm looking for consistency. A D writer would be one who just didn't even try. Okay, by the way, you might be thinking about new students coming into 4th grade. They've never had cursive writing before. First couple weeks of school, you don't count their writing grade. You realize you can do that, right? So if a student comes in new to your school, you don't have to start counting grades those first couple of weeks. Now, this is all under administrative approval. You have a student who comes in mid-year, that first test that they take, don't count it. You record it, but you don't count it. Second test, you don't count. Third test, now it counts. So now we're communicating to the parent. Again, I'm not heavy-handed. Do you remember how we started our day? Psalm 100, what were the 3 words? Good, mercy, truth. I want the parent to know I am there for their child, and I'm not going to give them an F if I haven't had opportunity to teach them yet, right? So make sure everybody in your school is on the same page. There are samples in your binder about how to grade writing. So you will see samples, and it will have teacher comments. 2 positives. That positive can be nice slant and a heart around a letter. 1 written, 1 picture. 2 constructives. Need use better size, and then maybe some letters were squished together and you just do a wiggly line in between it. Don't mark with a red pen every single one of the errors you see. If they didn't connect their B to the next letter and they missed that connection 3 times, only mark it once. Don't bleed all over the paper. I had a master's degree. One of my teachers, Dr. Loden, I had worked really hard on this paper. I turned it back in. Oh, you know Dr. Loden? You might know this then. So anyway, I worked really hard. I was really proud of the work I had turned in. I get it back. It is covered in red ink. All right, so I have a kindred spirit here. You had Dr. Loden. Phenomenal man. Philosophy of Christian education, that man bled Christian education like nobody's business. I get it, and I'm immediately devastated. What did I do? How did I mean, you see red ink, you go, there's a problem. I get to the last page, and I see an A. And he's just standing up there, and he has a paper in his hand, and he's just swinging it around. And he says, some of you may be wondering, every time you see red, that's a point that I liked, that's a point that I made note of. But he said, I just got your heart rate up. Ever a teacher. I have never forgotten that. Red ink raises blood pressure. It raises your blood pressure too when you're nitpicky no, you don't mark everything, right? So if they made a mistake once, then of course they're going to make it because you got to teach them how to fix it. Yeah? So it'll make a parent feel a little bit better too. Okay, you know what? God has been in this day. We have covered so much material. Are your brains like so tired? Or is it just me? All right, building reading comprehension and retention. This is a question that you all have. I had two ladies ask me up here about standardized testing. Lower elementary ABeka matches closest to Iowa Basic. Upper elementary high school matches closest to the SAT 10 Stanford. What is the name of that test? Say again? The Stanford. Yeah. So Iowa is closest in elementary. So at Pensacola Christian, we do two different tests. By the way, this may be of interest to you administrators. Pensacola Christian Academy never releases a standardized testing grade to a parent. I just shocked you. Because those standardized testing, the administration feels is a diagnostic for our teachers using our curriculum, and we recognize we don't speak the same lingo as the rest of the world. Common Core, we say we meet or exceed the standards of Common Core, but we don't use the same language as Common Core. Somebody came up here earlier, mentioned regrouping, base 10, all that. You won't see those terms in the ABeka curriculum. Are we teaching processes similar? Yeah, in standardized testing, lower elementary, combinations, ABeka world, number sentence, their world. Are they the same thing? Yes, but to a 6-year-old, do they know that the same thing? Their world, they've only heard combinations. So we recognize that environment. We dip down in environment. Do we want to take care of the world that God has given to us? Yes. But do we spend a lot of our time talking about recycling and green and all of that? No, we're focusing on these academics, right? Okay, so this is up to you. But as a school policy, as the standardized testing grades are not released. Parent can beg, a parent can whatever. We just don't do it. The answer is no. That was for free. Building reading comprehension. Okay, back in 2000, the National Panel of Reading, some of you may be familiar of this, came up with a list of 7 essential components to reading. It is still the standard for reading today. You see phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, knowledge, and writing. Every bit of that is covered in the ABeka materials. So without trying to, we did meet the standard of the National Reading Panel. Now, we have spent a lot of time today on the phonics. The fluency was our last session. But what about the comprehension? We had a question of a teacher here about reading comprehension and grading. Oral is working on a different set of skills in reading than written. Your efforts on written comprehension benefit your reading subjects of history, science, and health. What am I teaching in reading comprehension? To discern characterization, setting, plot, morals, with themes, taking a T-chart, a Venn diagram, being able to compare, contrast, being able to sequence events. Those of you that have used it, you recognize that it's not as easy for the students as it looks. Because now they have to, oh, by the way, what kind of teacher are you? A show, tell, and do teacher. Guess what they get to do with reading now? You show them how, you tell them hints, and then they get to do something with the content that they're reading. This is also where you get to teach them how to use a highlighter. They do not highlight every single page in their history book. I've been in some classrooms where I'll flip through and the whole book is a highlight. And then they wonder why parents are upset. They're like, help my child study. Everything is highlighted. Okay, here's a rule of thumb with a highlighter. By the way, where's my third grade teachers? Usually you are the ones that teach them how to use the highlighter. It is a mental sticky note. You read it. You said, oh, I didn't know that before. Or, oh, that's an important name. Or, oh, that was what the title was about. That's what I highlight. Mental sticky note. These are things I want to remember. I was in a school one time where the teacher was using our digital textbooks, and he simply said, all right, go to the third line, highlight, go to the fourth line, highlight, skip down 2 sentences, highlight, highlight, for a couple minutes. Highlight, 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 highlight. It had no meaning. The students hadn't been taught the information. They hadn't read the information. The teacher was doing the thinking for them. That's the opposite of beneficial, right? So you're going to teach the students, is it a person's name? Is it an important date? Is it an invention? Is it the start of a war? Geography often affects the outcome of history. Do I need to know that it was a mountaintop? Does that affect the outcome of the story? So this is where you get to dissect. You get to dig into the reading program. And rightly so, this one teacher said, well, this doesn't start right away. Yeah, second grade, it's second semester. It's not even a couple pages a week until you get into the older grades. Adventure series, I'm getting ahead of myself, but the adventure series, we have paced differently in our revision. Students used to do so poorly, even Pensacola Christian Academy, we would throw out the first couple quizzes. So you know what we've done in repacing our curriculum? We don't introduce this at the very beginning. We teach and train in the reading comp, which are short, work collectively and sometimes independently, so that when I ask them to do their independent work, they can do it. These are longer reading selections. They're timed readings. They are closed book quizzes. Reading comp, you can flip back and forth, but hey, the more you flip, the less you're comprehending. I have some teachers who say to the students, okay, read the questions, now turn it over and begin reading. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? You're supposed to be reading for meaning the first time and then be able to disseminate the information that is being asked. So it takes time. You got to teach how to do it. But teachers, if you will take the time built into your reading class to teach how to do it, then your reading subjects of science, history, health will be the exact same format. By the way, you never grade on their oral reading in science, history, and health. Oral reading grades only come from the designated readers. Okay, moving on. Institute of Reading Development. Fluency is the key to comprehension. Words flow together for a meaningful story which opens the gateway to a love of reading. If you are working so hard at sounding out words, you've lost the story. That's why the secret to reading success is one word. Reread. Reread. When you read it the second time, then he's like, oh, that's what it's talking about. Very beneficial. All right, elements of reading. On your handout, on the bottom of page 11, you see 4 parts of reading. Number 1 is introduction, 2 is oral reading, 3 is comprehension, 4 is discussion. From 1st through 6th grade, those are your 4 elements in all ABeka reading classes. Now, I'm going to take these elements of reading, and we're going to conquer it in reading subjects of history, science, and health. Okay, so your reading curriculum, upper elementary, you've got our reading overviews, you've got your board work, your vocabulary, your scripture reading. By the way, silent reading is built in. That is a skill. Do you know, starting in 2nd grade, we formally teach students how to read silently? You got to teach them how. Because if you just say read silently, what are they going to do, especially if they're a reluctant learner? So we have built in time into our curriculum to teach them how to do that. That was new in our revisions coming up. We always expected it before, and then we realized, no, we never taught them how. That's not the philosophy that ABeka does. We show them how and say you can. Okay, 3rd grade, here's a group of your books. 4th grade, the readers in our revisions. We are up to 5th grade. I'm going to ask Aaron to make an announcement about the status of 5th grade revision. A couple of you have asked me about that. The readers, the art, they're engaging, the literary enrichment. Okay, it is not every day, and that's purposeful. These are activities in the back of the readers in upper elementary. The reason they are not every day is, don't you get tired of doing the same thing every day? You kind of stop thinking about it. So if it's once a week, if it's once every other week, however frequently it is for your grade level, then it's something that the students look forward to, and it doesn't become a burden. So you can see the different types of visuals that we are using, all with the goal of helping them to organize, to sift through content. We want them to be able to understand what they're reading and do something with it. Okay, now your teacher editions. You see here story themes, introduction, comprehension, discussion. That's naturally built into the teacher editions. When you get past 3rd grade and you head into 5th, 6th grade, can I show you, take a look, all of that content for reading. Can I say ABeka has really always done a good job with reading, but its main emphasis has been oral. In these recent revisions over the last couple of years, we have really beefed up written comprehension, which is showing its benefits in history, science, and health. So be on the lookout for, and now it's not just, what pages am I reading today? You have to think through how you can prepare for reading. This is the current version of 5th grade. It is currently in a revision process. Truthfully, over the last couple of years, COVID messed us up. I'm telling you what, we got off our printing cycle. The cost of paper is exorbitant. It absolutely is. And what that has happened is 5th grade is laid off the press. Aaron's going to make an announcement. PDFs are going to be ready to get you started. And I will tell you what, for a year, I was the managing editor of ABeka. When there are things that are out of our control, we do the meetings, we do the writing, goes through the revision process, it goes all the way, gets to print, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. We're like, the devil does not want these books out. And we pray, people are working hours overtime, getting it done. Eye is always on the prize, and it seems like we are always late. And that doesn't look good on us, and it doesn't make your life easier. So, truthfully, as the former managing editor of ABeka, I will tell you, wait a year on revisions. When revisions come out that first year, don't buy it. Wait for the 2nd year, and then you will have your books ready when you need them. And that cuts to the core, because I know the content in these books are phenomenal. But I said to one teacher, if you can handle getting things in pieces, then enjoy the beauty of the materials. If you're a new teacher, you're at a new school, and that's just too much, then another year in your current materials. There's nothing wrong with the current 5th grade. It's just going to be, a lot more bells and whistles in the new. All right, that's from my heart. That's just a level of transparency that I hope you receive and understand the heart that it is given. All right, helpful features. Do you realize in your upper elementary books, here you've got the literary concepts and enrichment. In the table of contents pages of upper elementary, it tells you what concepts this book is going to focus on. So Once Upon a Story, the first book in 4th grade, you're going to focus on title, author, main character. What that means is you turn to that page, we're actually going to teach you what is the title, what is the main character. We're going to teach you those literary elements, and then we're going to build on it throughout the rest of the year. Why are these literary elements important? Because if you understand what's going on, if it's a narrative text structure, then that means I'm going to have a setting, and I'm going to have a plot, and I'm going to have characters. But if it is informational, if there's opinion related, then I'm not going to have a setting. I'm not going to have characters. So to determine the literary concepts, enrichment, the text structures will help me preview, without even reading the story, I know what I'm heading into. This is, I know, very difficult to see, but this is taken straight from our detailed scope and sequence. You want to know what literary concepts you are teaching in your grade. For example, 4th grade, dialogue, excerpt, inference, point of view, idiom, narrator, rhyme scheme, meter, repetition, drama, cast, stage directions. All of that is in the 4th grade curriculum. You want to know what literary terms your books will cover, go to the detailed scope and sequence. Text structures. Basically, a handful of text structures in all upper elementary. Narrative tells a story, right? So I'm going to have that setting, as I already mentioned, characterization. And then I've got informative. Is it descriptive? Is it compare contrast, cause effect, problem solution, sequential chronological? These are the text structures that ABeka covers in upper elementary. Just like we have clue words in arithmetic, if I say in all, what is the process? Addition. If I say how many are left, I'm going to trick you here. How many more? Oh, it's actually minus. How many more means minus? Say it. How many more means minus? I have 9 candy bars. Adela has 3 candy bars. How many more do I have? 6. Why? Because 9 minus 3 equals 6. How many more means minus? My lower elementary teachers, remember this, because when they have to do their story problems on their own and they read how many more, what's going to connect in their brain? How many more means minus. Okay, that was for free. Those clue words for, I told you I love arithmetic. Those clue words for arithmetic are now highlighted for reading. Where do you find them? In your reading front matter. There's a box that is highlighted, and I think it says something like clue, I think it's called clue words, actually, or signal words. Reading with Purpose is the title, signal words. So if they see these words in their reading, boom, they know what text structure, boom, they know what information they're going to read for. One of the things that we're going to do in our reading comprehension, oh, I have it over here, is we have built in to the books preliminary pages teaching informative nonfiction. Here, descriptive text structure, informative nonfiction, problem solution, cause effect. We are building this into the program, teaching them how to know, to absorb what they are reading. So if we are teaching about informational text, what subject matter comes to your mind that we are preparing them for? History, science, etc., to know how to do something. So all of this, again, you don't have to work hard at it. You don't have to say, oh my, this is all new to me. I didn't know. I was formerly teaching lower elementary, and now I'm coming to upper elementary. I didn't realize I would have to do all this. But you don't have to work at it because it's built into your lesson plan. You know that digital slides are available. The 5th grade samples that I have here have been replaced with new digital teaching slides. And I believe on the back of your handout, it will tell you all the 5th grade stuff, digital, that is coming soon. So hang on. Okay, and then we've already talked about our skill sheets, so I'm going to quickly go through this. But the strategies there, start small, ask recall questions. That's going to help the students. Your curriculum will walk you through this. And then we've already talked about different types of skill sheets that you will do, different type of graphic organizers that you will do. Your students will love these, absolutely love them. And then our reading comprehension. You see the first list. I had a teacher one time create a bulletin board out of this list, and every time her students got ready to read the adventure series, she'd go over to the bulletin board, look for names of people, dates, inventions, awards. These are things that would stand out to them. Can you see how what we're doing in reading comprehension would benefit history, science, and health? We're going to teach it in the same exact way. Where, in fact, I see my time is running down. I might skip to a couple of videos that will give us these techniques for our 4 parts of reading. So these techniques are what will transfer to history, science, and health. Okay, so let's get going. Your brain's still engaged? I got 15 minutes and I'm using every single one of them. Technique 1, you're making connections. So if you're taking notes, where it says technique, that's what you would write down on your piece of paper. Let me go straight to your example video.
That brings us to our lesson. Let's look right up at the board. I have just 2 words written up on the board. One of them is the free enterprise system, and one of them is Tiananmen Square. Let's say Tiananmen, and then I'll say for you what free enterprise system is. Ready, begin. Capital Tiananmen. That's what I was afraid of. Listen to the pronunciation. Tiananmen Square. Say it with me. Tiananmen Square. One more time. Tiananmen Square. Okay, those are our 2 terms for this lesson. Let's look back at free enterprise system. In this lesson, we will compare and contrast, and what that means is we'll look at the differences and the similarities of a free government and a communist government. Now, which of those, free or communist, does China have? Just say it if you know it. Communist. They do have a communist government, so we're going to look specifically at them. Free countries have what's known as a free enterprise system. If you look at that word right in the middle there, enterprise, that simply is an undertaking that you might want to do. For instance, my husband owns his own landscaping business. That is his own undertaking. Some days he might have business, some days he might not have business, but that is his enterprise. That is his try, you could say it is. He's trying to do a business. In a free enterprise system, you are free to try that. Okay, and so that's the type that a free country would have, whereas a communist government, the government owns everything. They tell you where to work and what to do, and they kind of run the show, you could say. So we're going to look at those 2 different types of government, and then we'll get to a story about a communist uprising. Now,
Okay, do you recognize what you just saw? Yes or no, sign language. Are the students' books open? Mm-mm. They're not open. Why? What kind of teacher are you? Show, tell, and do. So what she did, this is history. In every history curriculum from 1st through 6th grade, there are terms that are in the curriculum that you are to put up on the board. Majority of classrooms I visit don't put the words up on the board. That's your introduction. Now, are you interested in getting into the lesson? Now, she piqued your interest. She told a story. Now you understand the meaning of the word. So when you read it in your history book, it's going to mean something for you. So you've just laid the connection. You've just set the stage for thinking. Technique 2, your overview skills. Write down next to overview skills, I wonder what. In this next video clip, she's going to say that phrase, I wonder what, say a couple things, and now the students, when they open their books, what are they reading for? I wonder what, and I'm going to try to answer that question. So it's not, I'm just not starting from ground zero, right? Now I've kind of put them into the learning process.
in about 1989, so this isn't too far back, last century it would have taken place. In 1989, the communist people in China stood against their government. They did not like that the government was still telling them what to do. The communist government is very restrictive on the people. They put a lot of guidelines on them. They control everything. They tell them where to go. Today in China, you are only allowed to have when this book is written, you're only allowed to have one child in China. And if you participate in having a second child, you might have fines or things like that. And so they are very careful as to what they do for their people. They are very restrictive. The people did not like that, and so they uprose against the communist government. Over 1 million people went to Tiananmen Square to protest communism. Now, the Chinese government has a choice. They can either say, okay, we'll listen to you, we'll allow you to have a few more freedoms just so you're happy, or they can simply choose to put aside the revolt and they could just disband it. And when they do that, they're going to have to do it by force. So I wonder what happens in Tiananmen Square. I wonder if they'll get more freedom for the Chinese people or if the government will put a stop to them by force. I wonder what happens.
Okay, so with that, now you've already made a judgment in your mind. And when we open the book, now you're going to see if you were right or if you were wrong. My middle school teachers, high school teachers, you would benefit by following this same structure as you present material: history, science, health. Technique 3, class participation. Okay, if the terms in your history science book are in bold, italic, or underlined, will you do this for me? Teach your students. You have an individual student reading, so he's reading the text. When he gets to a bold, everybody says that bold word. Gets to something that's underlined, everybody says what's underlined. Gets to italic, everybody says what's in italics. So they're seeing it, they're hearing it. It's kind of like that bold, highlighted point. This is important. The students will remember to do it. The students will do it well. The people who will forget to have the students say the bold, italic, and underlined are you. They will do fine. They will remember that. So that's going to really help. And then, of course, guide your thinking. Where have we seen name, date, setting before? Reading comprehension, right?
We are on page 91, and Lauren is coming to read for us. And let me just explain to you how I'd like to read this concept box. You'll notice each little section has a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see that there, Lauren? Now, Lauren is going to go ahead and take both boxes for number 1. I will say, in free countries, and you will read the bold sentence. That's everyone. We'll read the bold sentence together. And then Lauren will finish the box, everything that's not in bold. And then I'll say, but in communist countries, we'll read the bold sentence together, and then Lauren will finish the box. Let's try the first box. Concepts to consider: freedom or communism. In free countries, people are free to worship God in the way they think is right. Lauren.
This is most important right guaranteed to Americans by the Constitution of the United States.
Now the book says that that is the most important thing that Americans have. I want you to be thinking about American history. What do you know about American history and how America was founded that is the reason why it says this is the most important right? What do we know, Raymond?
That the people that founded America was Christians.
They came here because that was the very reason they came. They wanted to worship God in their own way, and that is the most important thing we have in our law, is that we have the freedom. Do you know in communist countries, they don't have that freedom? Go ahead and read for us. Communist countries. In communist countries, the communist.
For sake of time, notice the student was standing to read up front. That was just for videoing purposes. Your reader would stand to read at their desk all the way through 9th grade, stand to read. And then you could do your popsicle sticks for history, science, and have to call in the readers. But did you sense that it was a conversation? Right, she had planted the seed, student read, whole group read what was in bold, and then she continued the conversation, but she weaved in a thinking question. This is old world history, and she was referring to American history. Okay, so she was going from the known to the unknown. Technique 4, questioning the text. This is your mental highlighter. Have I ever read this before? Have I ever heard this before? Did I recognize that I just read a paragraph and I couldn't even tell you what I just read? Okay, these are things that you are thinking about as you are reading. Technique 5, this is one of my favorites. And there is one word that I want you to write down next to making inferences. The word is predict. Predict is a safe zone for your students. Predict means it's my opinion versus yours. It's just based on my body of knowledge. I'm making a guess as to what I think. Yes, I could be right. Yes, I could be wrong. But I'm going to learn from that. So I wonder what, you made a prediction in your mind, but what teachers forget to do is to go back and check that prediction. So she can set the stage and say, no, what do you think will happen, so-and-so? Well, I think da-da-da-da. They read, were you right? Why or why not? And have students participate in conversation. So I love the element of prediction because, again, even your weakest student can participate without fear of being scolded for his answer because it's simply an opinion. Number 6, determine the importance. Text structures. Is it an informative text? Is it cause-effect? Is it chronological? Etc. That's where those reading comprehension strategies are coming right into play. For free on ABeka.com, web organizers. Go to ABeka.com, resources. It's /resources. If you will go to ABeka.com /resources, you will find grade levels. You choose your grade level. There's a drop-down menu. Everything that's free for your grade. Songs, visuals, free digital resources. So check it out. A lot of times you don't even know what's on the website. So we've got a whole resource thing that's free. ABeka.com /resources. Okay, your curriculum, here's a comparison contrast. Technique number 7, create mental images. What do you love about your preacher? He's a man of God. He gives us the word. Can I tell you, the best preacher is the best storyteller? Yeah, do you love that about your preacher? Because he's creating mental images, makes the word of God come to life. That's what we wanted to do in our Bible time. But that's what we're also going to be able to point out in our history, science, health. So you're going to point those beautifully built into the books that they're there for a reason. So this is where we kind of tie the knot. And you understand I'm really just hitting high points here right now. Technique 8 is repair understanding. What this means is if a student cannot answer a question, instead of going to the next student, say that answer's in the first paragraph, reread it. I'll call on you, after another student and give us opportunity to learn from that. Encourage expression, even in history, read with expression. Paraphrase, okay, this is huge. Can a student summarize what he just read, or can another student summarize what was just read? If you can get them to summarize, then you recognize that there was an understanding. Sequence what happened first, second, third, fourth. These are things, though, that if you haven't studied your lesson the night before, you're not going to be able to ask these kinds of questions. And then that leads us to the discussion. That's the 4th element of ABeka reading, technique 9, integrating information. This is where you are making connections across the subjects. See the bottom bullet? Reevaluate prediction. If they're going to put themselves out there with an opinion, come back and show them why they were right or wrong. All right, a lot of times we think that all of these visuals, which I did a horrible job pointing out to you today, if you had come yesterday, it was all about the toys on the table. But my point, I just lost my point. Oh, we think about all these toys as lower elementary. Take a look at this 6th grade history class.
Well, today I want to show you some interesting facts about one of those 4 oceans that we were talking about. Now, the 4 oceans are the Arctic.
Let me see if I can.
Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Well, today I want to show you some interesting facts about one of those 4 oceans that we were talking about. Now, the 4 oceans are the Arctic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the
Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, and you might have got a clue already about what we're talking about today, and that is the Atlantic Ocean. It's what borders the eastern United States, so we want to study it just a little bit more. Now, the Atlantic Ocean has several facts about it. First fact you're going to know is that it contains several different species of fish or different creatures, such as cod, herring, tuna, clams, keep going, oysters, lobsters, octopuses, the sperm whale, and the giant squid. You'll see all of these creatures, including several other types of creatures there in the Atlantic Ocean. But what you also want to know about the Atlantic Ocean, I'm going to have Ariana come and help me out first of all. So Ariana, she's going to hold my salt because the Atlantic Ocean is the saltiest ocean. Oh, it's one of the saltiest oceans. It's very, very salty, which makes sense because it's the Atlantic Ocean. So Ariana, I'm going to have you hold my salt for me over here. You can just walk right here in front of me. There you go. So your salt, she's going to hold the salt for us to remember that. And then I want Rain. Rain, you can come on up, and you're going to help me by thinking about how we can discover several things about the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, it's the most studied ocean, the northern Atlantic Ocean, that is. It's the most studied ocean, so you need some things to study. So you might need more than just a magnifying glass. And you need a net to help to study the Atlantic Ocean. So we have our salt, we have the Atlantic Ocean, or the stuff to study the Atlantic Ocean. And then let me see, Ryan, this is important. Now this is a fishing pole. The fishing pole is going to help you to remember that this area used to be quite heavily fished. Now I'm going to give you a plastic fishing bowl because they've put some restrictions on the fishing there. They can't have several different or lots of fishing going on because so much fishing happened that they had to kind of tone it down a little bit because they used up all the fish. So there's still some fish in the ocean, of course, there, you know that, students watching, but there's not as much as there used to be. So they've put some restrictions on the fishing there, Ryan. So he's going to still know that it used to once be one of the most heavily fished areas, but they had to put some restrictions on there. All right, something else that we need to know about the Atlantic Ocean. Let me see. Who do I want to help me with this? How about Serenity? Serenity, come on up. I'm going to give you some little fish here. Now this fish is going to help you to remember all those unusual animals that are there. Why are they unusual? Because they're gummy fish. You could eat these. Well, you can eat regular fish too, but they're just gummy fish. But there's not actually gummy fish in the ocean, but they're unusual. Well, today I want to show you.
For sake of time, let me go through and point out what you just saw. 6th grade teacher. She was in heels. She's shorter than her students, but she had command of their attention, didn't she? And in that, she used what we typically think of for lower elementary. She brought it into her class. If you watch the rest of that video, after she goes through it, they go to reading, and they're reading about those visuals that she gave to them. She gives them a pop quiz. They take out a piece of paper. Can they write down how many things they remember about the Atlantic Ocean? Do you know that most of them get every single point right? Why? Because there is a visual attached. So I would love to even bring that show, tell, do mentality even into your reading subjects of history, science, and health. It is not what is poured into a student that counts, but what is planted. What is the scripture? That some plant, some water, and then some seed. Yeah, God gives the increase, and we see the fruit there. Now, our time has come to an end, and I'm going to put up, let's see, here we go. This is how we are going to close out our meeting with starting the year with success. Can I leave this quote on your mind? The secret of success for the start of this year is not wishing away a student, not wishing away the year before it's already happened. The secret is Christ in me, not in a different set of circumstances. Oh, if I were just teaching another grade. Oh, if I were just... There's no plan B with God. You remember that from this morning. This is his plan A for you. Delightful learning experience. That's my goal for you. There's a verse in, Timothy... 2 Timothy 3:14, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. But the first 3 words, but continue thou. Will you be faithful this year? You've been given a world of information overload today. But you know when you need it, the Lord's going to bring back things to your mind, things that you have seen. Will you prepare? Excellence in motion. My family has retired to Iowa, and we were driving the 3-day trip to Fort Lauderdale, where I am now, and there was a tractor trailer that had as its logo, excellence in motion. And I love that, because that's what I want to be. We are in constant motion. I haven't stood still all day today, right? We are in constant motion when we are teaching, and I want there to be excellence in our preparation, consistency. We have some rough days, yes, but our students don't need to know the details. There's no mood swings. There's no whatever. You are consistent. Book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 21. The Lord has promised great things. In the book of Joel, the land was destroyed by the locusts, and you know what? Joel knew that there were great things. Why? Because he had seen God do great things before. God was currently doing great things and will continue to do great things. For character training, this is what we signed up for. E is the kindergarten Bible verse. Even a child is known by his doings. We demonstrate what is good. We give mercy when we can show mercy. And we teach truth for our students. Why? Because we are developing future students, servants of the Lord. All right, this was the fastest day ever that you just went through. I will tell you, everything that were just on the slides I went through, we've already touched on, so you didn't miss anything. It was just a recap of what we were doing. Great teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. You've probably seen this phrase on a plaque or on Pinterest or something. Can I encourage you to be creative, be energetic, be faithful? And the verse, don't forget our conversation about seeing little people in your classroom, meeting their needs individually. I would challenge you with that this year. Final verse, 1 Timothy 1:12. Those of you that have attended meetings with me before, you know that this is how I end every single in-service. And I say the same thing every year. Maybe this is a verse you would like to write down, keep on your desk, so when days are hard, when days are difficult, you remember why you are doing what you are doing. And I thank Christ Jesus our Lord, who hath enabled me. That means he's going to give you wisdom. He's going to give you courage. He's going to give you discernment. He's going to give you practical thought. He's enabled you, for that he's counted you faithful. By the way, that means to show up. Don't call a sub if you have a headache. Right? Be faithful. Don't be, when that administrator sees your phone number, don't be the, not again. Administrators are people too. They may ask the Lord to, confess that thought about you in the moment, but in the moment it's real. Counting me faithful, putting me into the ministry. You don't clock in, clock out. You will take papers home. You will have grading. You will have research reports. You will have parent conversation and communication. It's what you signed up for when you agreed to teach this year. So don't say, but I got to do all these things. Guess what? You had previous knowledge of that. So no excuses. My goodness, you have been an attentive group. Thank you. We are 3 minutes out from the official close. Aaron, I give you these 3 minutes.
All right, close out. Just a couple things I want to just let you know of. Number one, packets. All of you, when you came in this morning, there was packets out.